And welcome everybody back to Two Scoops. This is Brandon Reed and
Alexis Butler. Yay!
Yeah. Pretty ironic that this is going to be our third episode and we are going into, what was the subject today?
It is on podcasts and the new era of social media.
Yeah. Ooh, okay.
Ooh.
Oh, so
That's a pretty big topic.
So the real question is here, what the are we doing? You know, what
are we doing?
Like,
what are we getting ourselves into?
Yeah, what are we getting ourselves into?
That's the main question, I think, today.
All right, the main question is, but before we do that, I feel like as if maybe we should kind of like reintroduce ourselves. Do you think that's a thing? Or
okay, so
you want
to go up first? Up to bat, Brandon Reed.
Oh, no, wait, no, because I want to ask you the question.
Oh, okay, ask me.
I really want to know, my question for you to start this off was, what do you think we're going to get out of this? Like, what do you want to get out of this?
I think that we're really going to see, the two completely different sides of how social media is viewed, because you and I both grew up when social media was starting to become more of a thing. I was on social media by the time I was probably like 10.
Do you remember when you were introduced to social media?
Yes.
Okay.
This is a funny story. I wasn't allowed to like have like Snapchat or like Twitter or Instagram or anything at first. So my first form of social media that I used was actually Pinterest.
I feel like that's pretty common though. I feel that's a pretty common thing.
My mom just didn't want me to like be on social media yet. But then I remember like my actual first introduction to me like having a account and using it actively was my Instagram account.
Okay.
And I've had that Instagram account since I was like 11 years old, 12.
Fair enough.
Because I don't even remember what year Instagram came out, but
if you do, that I would be a little bit.
Hey, I've grown up with it my whole life.
You're not wrong. I guess for me, like, I really just what we're trying to broach the conversation, like approach topics that like allows us to bridge the gap. I think that since everything that's happened, it's like always been this state of hysteria where you could kind of see it out in society where everyone has this tunnel vision.
100%.
It's just like this huge divide. It's almost like almost tangible, right? Like,
and it's gotten worse with social media, obviously.
Because social media is not helping either.
Oh no,
I don't think that'll be my stance on that.
It's never going to help. It's just going to get much worse.
Yeah. So, doing something that I feel like is right, aligned with my interests. I honestly at this point I think our interest of just trying to like create the conversation. Open it up for people to be able to, casually approach these things with loved ones, family members, who do have a bit of a generational gap. Yeah. Would be the most, everything that I could ask for.
Yeah, 100%. So,
I don't think it's really for
it's
the
not like we're
fortune.
It's not like we're experts on any of this stuff.
No, not at all.
We're bringing two different sides.
There you go. I mean, at least we're able to get that message across, which, makes me feel a little bit more comfortable about what we're doing. So people don't think that,
we're just like doing this,
Yeah. What are they doing? Why? What is the reason? This is all for content. It's all for content. No.
No, because
at least be able to have
We'll discuss influencers later on in the episode, but like that's just a whole.
Is that what you want to be? Was that what you grew up and wanted to be?
No.
You gonna hit me with that right now?
No.
In front of everyone?
No. I do not want to be an influencer. I will make that very clear right now.
Unfortunately, you're well on your way to be.
Sponsor me.
So, social media. Is it making or breaking us? Is that your question that you had for us?
That was my main question that I had for.
And how do you feel about the way that you're getting your information?
I know that it's not the most, effective way for me to get my information through like social media. However, I think it's just become something that my generation has become accustomed to.
But then you say the generation thing, but we went into the research, like some of the statistics, right? And it said from 18 to 34, 47%. Yeah, but I told you,
I said to you that surprised me that your generation like wasn't still, watching CNN or, but you know what I mean? Or like getting your news from like the Washington Post.
So what's easier? What's easier than what's in the palm of your hand, right?
I mean, yeah, you're right. But then also there are, because that's where I was confused with that statistic just a little bit, because,
Okay.
you know, there are newspapers like the Washington Post and like the New York Times. So is that technically, that's not
Right?
social media.
But it's sourced material.
Exactly.
It's sourced material.
So then that's where it gets a little bit confusing.
So is it a negative if you're able, why wouldn't you like treat it as if anything else, right? Like any type of research, wouldn't you want to cite and source the things that you're looking into, right? I feel it's negative if you're just looking at the surface area,
Yeah.
and you're just using the title or the tabloid to dictate your knowledge or your information, right? Or like how much you just gathered. But is it really negative when you have access to a wider range of information that you may have never had access to before? No.
See, this is the thing. It's like, and this is where I really don't, like, I feel like I'm on the divide, because I don't know if I think having too much information is a good thing or a bad thing. Because when there's certain topics that are going on within the news, I like to have a lot of information on, you know, what that is. But then when there's other things, like way back when, to when COVID was going down and all that was in the news, I literally deleted social media for like a week and a half because it was giving me severe anxiety.
A week and a half? You made it 10 days?
Yes,
You
but it
made
was
a whole
giving
10 days?
Shut up. It was giving me anxiety to think about what was going on in the world. You know what I mean? Like, I didn't want to see all these cases just increase, all the number of deaths increase. I didn't want to watch that. And maybe that's naive and ignorant, but I'd never done that again. Like, deleted social media just because I didn't want to see what was going on in the news. But yeah.
I feel like the influx of information to begin with, either way, from the news or social media, it's like, it's all regulated at the end of the day.
Oh, 100%.
Right?
It's all regulated. They watch everything that we do.
So then you just would need to kind of just cite and source, right? Garner your own.
Okay, but then this is the issue, because
this
is the issue, because
use
all people are different. So, you know, one person might be sitting there and saying, you know, I get my news from Snapchat. You know that the news that they're getting from Snapchat is like nothing that has any notoriety behind it.
Then it also makes me want. Okay, so fair. Or the TikTok reels, right? Like, or the TikTok reels. How everyone's like,
it's like that ongoing joke where people like say now, especially with my generation, it's like, oh, like, where'd you, like, oh, I read this thing or I saw this thing on the news, when in reality it's like, oh, I saw it on TikTok.
Yeah, no, you're
I
not
saw
wrong.
it on TikTok.
But I guess it kind of gets me into this, not to go too far into the psychology of it, but like, why are people so much more comfortable with getting their information from a stranger than from listening to it from someone who's, you know, who might be well more versed or
but this is what I mean. But this is the thing with news. Like, how do we, like, everybody who shares the news, it isn't an expert on what's going on. Like, even
it used to be.
Yeah, it used to be. Not nowadays. Hello.
It used to be before.
Have we
there
seen the type of people that they put up on TV to share news nowadays? Like,
but are they any worse than the individual that you're scrolling and looking to on your phone? Like,
it's all the same. It's all just as bad. See, but that's the thing, is that I think, at least with me personally, and you know, a lot of people my age, we are aware the damages that social media can do. However, we're ever going to get rid of that.
So that doesn't sound. But then, what's the solution to that situation? Like, how are
I don't know. I don't really.
Like, how are you able to decipher what's false information, misleading? Or were you just gonna go to like the censorship police? Do you want that level of supervision on your social media and the internet?
Do you?
I mean,
no. I swear to God, if you say yes, you like want. I want to hear your answer. Give me your answer.
The internet is still so young, you know, when you think about it. I mean, yes, we're past the infancy of like the .com era, right? Like we're into the whole streaming cloud service, you know what I mean? Apps and yeah, I get that, right? Yeah. But there's almost like little to no regulation on the internet, of what you can do on the internet. Other than the fact
you
that
could be
like,
scrolling through Instagram Reels and literally like watch like 4 people die in like a car crash, and it's on the internet.
Yeah, other than the fact that we know that there's the deep web and 98% of the web or whatever is inaccessible to, you know, I mean, the average person. I get it, but that's because there is so much information out there. If you didn't have some kind of provider or middleman to siphon through it, you would never be able to get to the cited or source materials that you needed due to the, you know, the plethora of content out there.
No, because
you know,
everything, but it's all congested. Every form of social media is congested with unnecessary things. But I think that honestly, that's the whole point. I think that when social media, like when this whole idea came about and people really started to, you know, think that this was a way to connect with each other, they knew deep down that this wasn't a way to connect with each other. It was just going to be a way to distract us from everything else going on within the world. You know what I mean? Because a lot of the time, like there has been things happening, like bad things happening in the world, but you know, people are still going to go up and post their selfies. Same thing with influencers. They're still going to go and post their stuff for that brand deal.
Or when you go to a show and everyone's recording the show so that they can post it to their social media.
Exactly. Yeah. Like I went to see Pete Davidson a few weeks ago and they literally, a way to prevent us from, they yondered all of our phones. No, they yondered all of our phones.
Yeah, but I mean, what did you really need your phone for?
I didn't need my phone, and
was there a laugh in the room?
What?
No.
Yes, there. Yes. Okay. Yes.
All right. That's good to know. That's good to know. Sorry.
Yeah, but
no hate, no.
But you know what? You understand what I mean when I say that about social media. Like, people knew that it was going to be congested with.
So my point here is that you're kind of sounding like you agree that it's a negative.
What, social media? I just said that. Yeah, I just said that I think that my generation is very aware of the fact that social media is a negative. However, we're so immersed in it now that we're never going to stop using it.
Okay, so
it's like a part of us.
So now. You're agreeing that it's a negative. You're acknowledging that people in your generation are understanding that there's negative aspects about it, right? There's fallacies in the whole algorithm, and you're not getting information the right way or the way that you would like it to be or intend your information, whatever, right? They're listening, they're watching, whatever, right? But you don't want regulations on the internet? You're opposed to there being some kind of buffer to false information and how we're getting this content, since so many people are now getting their information. I think that we could put
buffers, but then I think that, you know, false information would still be out there. Hello, have you ever heard of Reddit? Have you ever heard of Reddit?
Dude, you would not be coming at Reddit's neck right now.
No,
you cannot
Reddit,
come out of Reddit's
if they're going to delete TikTok, Reddit should go with it too, because Reddit needs to go.
Oh, if they're Reddit, but
Reddit is literally just a website created just to hate on people and spread information that's 90% of the time not true, or it's information that's going to ruin people's lives.
What do you mean? This is so we can't even. I'm not gonna go off on this stance about Reddit, but it's not just a derogatory. It's not just like a derogatory site for. You really just like think, how much of Reddit have you ever seen? You know what I mean?
I don't know. I don't want to get into the back alleys of Reddit. Do you?
I'm just saying, there's good and bad to everything. It's always like the conversation we're talking about.
So there you go. There's good and bad to everything. So you also agree that there's good and bad to social media.
Yeah, but it's easier to You're not wrong. You're not wrong.
I know.
But it is much easier to kind of like siphon through that information on a Reddit. Like, you're supposed to sort your sites, source your sites or your information.
Yeah, 100%. It's like when you're writing a paper in college, you have to.
No different than when you're looking up an article in college. When you were reading into a book or some type of research paper, right? You still went back and.
Okay, so then who's going to step up to the plate and do that? Because
the United States government.
Yeah, they're going to take that on. They're ready to take that on.
But there's all I'm saying is that we both agree that there obviously are some faults in the system, right?
100%.
Like, a lot of people are getting their information on platforms that might not be the best for us to get our information, right? They're not, but how they use it, right? is out of our control. You know, how individual uses their, you know, the source that they've gotten or they've acquired, then what are we to say about that, right? Like,
Yeah.
which really just kind of gets me into like more so of like, how are we going to like use that information? Do you know what I mean? For ourselves. You know, when we're doing like our own thing and we're researching and getting into our show and our stuff, you know, it's like, does everything that we look into need to have some kind of like full validation?
Like that,
like, you
I
know
feel
what
like,
mean?
a better way to put it is like, does everything that, you know, we put out into the world or see in the world need to have this credibility behind it?
Like full-fledged credibility?
Yeah.
Or we're able to just be more subjective?
See, I don't
and
know.
just,
That's where
like,
I think it's a
like,
very blurred line. Do you not agree?
to an extent, you know what I mean? Because I still want to enjoy it. You know, I don't want to get to the point where we're like looking at this like this is just like the craziest thing. It's so much work and we got to cite and source everything. We're like really just trying to get to like the, you know, the deets of it all, right? Like, and have the conversation and the discussion. So, you know, it really does feel more so like we're talk show-ish, you know, like we're getting to like a talk show.
Welcome to The View.
Like, you know, the modern, I guess what was the modern nostalgic version of it. But we're doing a little, The View? You said The View? No.
Yes.
I'm gone. If this becomes a panel,
I don't think I've.
You
wouldn't love it.
If this becomes a panel of you and your teeny boppers, I'm out.
Yo,
I'm
no.
out of here.
That's so
Coming to you
disrespectful.
with
That's literally so disrespectful.
No, I don't.
But like, I don't know. Even the whole social media conversation is like funny to have with you at times because, you know, I look at my Instagram account and then I look at yours and
I'm not gonna lie to you. I solely got it's completely ironic that we're even doing this. Like, I am not a social media person. I don't listen to podcasts major unless I'm supporting people that I know. Do you know what I mean? Or that I'm like giving them the, you know what I mean? I'm giving them the viewership, you know, in that sense. But like, I was never big on getting my information just for the sake of the show. I was never big on getting my information from any other source that wasn't like a research. That wasn't some like, I swear to you, like if it was television, if it was news, like
so you
you
refuse to get your news from anywhere else
like
besides somewhere
so
like,
it has to be like it needs to be peer reviewed. Someone has to have like tried to prove it wrong. If it wasn't like attested and tried to prove it wrong.
So you don't get your news.
A study,
so you're not getting. You've never gotten any news from like Twitter.
I've gotten news, but I really try not to digest
or
that
X,
news.
whatever it's called now.
Yeah, it's X, please.
Well, I never had Twitter.
All right, you need to use the appropriate.
No, but I never even had the app.
You never had a Twitter?
No.
Man.
Isn't that surprising?
Really?
Yeah.
I mean,
I just had no interest in it.
I only got an Instagram because I realized at a point that it became a social norm.
Oh, 100%. If you didn't have a social media account, especially an Instagram account at the time that it was like becoming a thing, then you were like, why don't you have one?
Yeah, I was completely that person that was disconnected. No social media, no Instagram. I just, deactivated my Facebook, no Twitter. And I was completely content with living a life like that until I realized that it was started to inhibit my actual relationships, like getting to know people in the real world. Because people don't exchange numbers anymore.
No. What do they exchange?
Handles and tags. You know what I mean? They exchange barcodes and...
Let me get your Snapchat.
No, my God. I'm so grateful that I was never a part of that
Snapchat
era of... like the clickbait of or the streaks, like keeping my streak alive with someone that I barely talk to.
When I would like go away, when I used to go to the sleepaway camps that I went to, I used to go to a sleepaway camp and work there, but we weren't allowed to have our phones. But when I was a counselor, I was allowed to have my phone, whatever. I literally had friends that would log into my Snapchat so that I could keep my streaks. That is one of the most ridiculous things I could have ever done. What's the point?
You tell me. I never understood.
I don't know, but
I was struggling to just be able to understand how to use Instagram.
But even, can I say this too? And this is crazy. When TikTok was starting to like really like pick up, like in 2019, that was my freshman year of college. I was like, TikTok is so stupid. I refuse to get TikTok. It's literally frying my brain. And then I got it. And now it's so bad. I like think I'm addicted to TikTok
Great.
sometimes.
So it's a wonderful thing that it's going to be banned, right?
No.
It's a
If
wonderful
TikTok gets
thing
banned,
that
I'm going to be really upset.
we're going to move out of
And
the country. Like,
I think
TikTok's
that
banned,
there's
I'm gone.
definitely things that should be banned on TikTok. Like you said, like there is a lot of stuff there's a lot of things that could be considered false information on that app. So I think that it definitely could use some organization, some cleaning up, However, TikTok is so fun. Like some of the videos that I see on that app are 10 times funnier than it like is stuff that reminds me of like Vine back in the day. You remember Vine?
Yes, I do remember Vine. So what do you feel about your screen time then?
Well, since I have been working now and I have a full-time job, my screen time has decreased so much.
How much content do you feel like you're ingesting? Like, wait, we're going to go into screen time. I don't want to get too off topic here because how much of your screen time do you feel like you have committed to either news or podcasts or shows? Do you know what I mean?
I would say
for
probably
entertainment purposes.
like an hour to like an hour and a half, because sometimes when I'm in the car, if I don't want to listen to music, I'll just throw on a podcast. And obviously that counts as screen time.
Yeah.
But I'm not actually like sitting there.
So you will just casually put on a podcast,
Yeah.
put on a show and just listen.
Oh, yeah. Even like when I'm just like cleaning my room, I like to have background noise. So I always like to have something playing in the background, whether it's a podcast, whether it's music, whether it's a TV show.
I do know
I
a
like,
lot of friends
so you
who
know what I
just-
mean? That's
yeah.
why, but that's what, like, I didn't start listening to podcasts until maybe 2 or 3 years ago. And like the first ones that I started listening to was because they were like people that I like loved on YouTube. Like I started to listen to like Cody Ko's podcast, and everybody listened to Call Her Daddy. No,
No, those are over my head. I swear.
They were with Barstool, but now they're with Spotify. So
I didn't even know that was a thing.
well, it was this whole thing that happened. It was two girls. They like broke up. Like they stopped being friends, and then
Is that gonna happen to this?
maybe if you keep up your act.
Whoa.
Just kidding.
That was spicy.
No, but seriously, so you said that you haven't listened to podcasts.
No, not really. Not at all.
Unless it was like in support of someone.
Like unless it was in support,
Yeah.
But then even after that, it was like, I gotta be honest, like, it was a limited, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It was a limited viewership.
But even when you and I were starting to plan this, it seemed like you were, like I knew, now that nowadays the norm for podcasts is like they have it all, like they film it, and they release
stage it,
yeah,
and they release it the day of.
yeah. It's not just like
that.
it's not just like the podcasts when they first started back in the day, where it was just like press record and you're just speaking into your voice memos on your iPhone.
I kind of like that though.
Of course you do.
What? It's a more
Because you're like, oh my God, it's so
staged
wholesome.
now though. Like the
But I like it.
podcast in it's so staged. Like it's
No,
like,
but you don't think that like I've been seeing a podcast style now that I really think is cool.
You want to give them a shout out?
What?
What is it?
No, I can't because
Okay.
you're gonna make fun of me.
No, you have to now.
Okay, so Alex Earl's podcast called Hot Mess, she releases it on
Tribute to
Spotify,
your
but
wife.
she also it's a full video. So it's like it's her talking like with the audio in the background, but then in the podcast is like clips of like vlogs that she recorded while she was like recording the podcast. Does that make sense?
No, that means zero. My brain is fried.
So like
It's a
she's
video within a video?
So it's a podcast. So she's sitting there like you and I, with a microphone, with the camera, she's talking. But then as she's telling a story, she'll cut that clip and take clips from her camera that she recorded when it was going on, like during the present time, and she puts it back so it like all like makes sense. It all like ties in together.
And what do you like about that?
I just think it's fun. I think that it was a new thing that I have never seen before.
So it's like the wow factor, like difference.
Yeah.
Right? Like the difference.
And a lot more people have been coming out with podcasts. It's like the
Well, yeah. We are in it right now. We're a part of it, right?
I know, but we
market,
looked up
like the boom, right?
We looked up a stat about that, did we not?
And I think we did, yeah. I see something here. What is that? Total podcasts of 220,000, 221,000. Let's just
Average it.
Average it. New podcasts created in 2023.
That's
That is
crazy.
not including us. You know, I mean, the start of the new year.
It's not including us. Sorry,
Not
guys.
including us,
We weren't
so
a part of
sorry.
that statistic yet.
Yeah, you know, the numbers might change. The scale may move. The scale-
No, but seriously, isn't that crazy to you?
Nah, to an extent, you know what I mean?
Why?
Because the consumption has gone up. So if
Yeah.
you're like, you know, if you're looking at it as like, you know, supply and demand,
Yeah.
right? The consumption of social media
also,
and podcasts or news like
yeah.
that has gone up.
I guess it's not as crazy to think about because if you think about it too, there's so many different niches of podcasts. Like there's a podcast for everything.
I can't. That we would talk about all day of the things because you know that that's all I see now in my reel. That's all I see
I
on
know.
my feed
You
now.
said that.
Is just a bunch of randos talking about sports. Fucking stone dude. Someone's like, how many oh my god! I'm sorry,
Yeah.
that was about to really come out of pocket. But I don't know how many more Caucasian men need to tell me about some sports stats.
I mean, you ain't wrong.
All of the
You
way.
are not wrong.
Okay. And I guess there are no men in general. I'm sorry, guys. I'm sorry, everyone out
Oh.
there. The hate came out. I don't. It didn't need to be Caucasian males, but like at the end of the day, how many more podcasts do I need about sports shows? Like
Yeah.
I'm already still.
Like, don't we get that from
I haven't-
ESPN already?
I haven't. I have to
I think
spend the
so.
rest of my life trying to delete Stephen A. Smith's voice from my brain. You know what I mean? Without listening or
even-
watching it. Exactly.
don't.
You wouldn't even know. But point being is that I think we're okay on that. We're okay on that content.
We're okay on that, Stanford.
Oh
we don't
my
need
God.
any more of that.
Yeah, no, not at all.
Making your heart beat a
yeah,
little.
yeah. That one gets me all riled up because I feel like I have no control of my content or my feed anymore. It used to be so.
Well,
nice.
that's the algorithm.
It
That's
used
the
to be
issue with the
so
algorithm.
nice.
You look up one thing and maybe it's 90% of the time the stuff that you're looking up, it's not something you're actually interested in. It's just something that you need to do. And then what happens? Your entire freaking feed. It's all of it. It's all of it. Like I remember a few weeks ago, I made a comment about I needed new, like I was saying, oh, I want like new sneakers, like new, just like sneakers to wear. My every single ad I had was for Nike, Adidas, like Birkenstock.
We're not doing any ad placement here. No one's getting any free promotion. We're not
my
talking
God,
about
I'm
your
not-
shop. No.
But you know what? It's
I hear what
scary.
you're saying,
It's
though. I
weird.
hear what you're
It's
saying.
weird.
I
don't like
definitely,
it.
I definitely agree. So, you know, there are a lot more podcasts going on right now. This, you know, I saw that. Did you know of these new podcasts though? Of the 220, I said this earlier. 40-something% of them don't make it past the third episode. See, so when you start looking at the
And look at
longevity
us.
of it,
Look at us.
it's like a million of them are inactive.
Well, because I think people,
million
you
of them
know,
are inactive, so.
and I don't want to I don't want to say this to sound bad,
Okay.
but I
you're
think
okay.
that a lot of the time people start podcasts with actual true intention behind it. Like they just started to say, oh, I started a podcast. You know what I mean? Whereas you and I had a genuine conversation about, you know, could this actually work? Could this actually be something where our banter could
Yeah.
work on a screen? You know what I mean?
I guess, yeah, but it's just hard for me to believe that someone
Come
would just
on.
invest that kind of time and put themselves on the
But that's
screen
what I'm saying. But that's why
for
it
no
matches with your statistic, because I think that people realize, you know, by episode 3, oh, this isn't just like a thing that, you know, I can just record one episode and just like put in the work for the one episode and blow up. Like that's not how it works. That's not even how like people go viral on TikTok.
Nothing in life works like that. You know what I mean?
No, but that's
Even
what
if
I'm
you're
saying.
A content creator or influencer, you
What-
still need you need a
Exactly. You have to put in the work for it.
Yeah, absolutely. But I did the positive note of all of those podcasts, of the 3 point whatever million podcasts out there, 20% are actually do find some form of steady stream success.
Yeah.
20%.
That's a pretty big
So like
percentage
once you
as well.
make, that 1 out of 5, I'll take
One out of 5?
I'll take my odds, you know? Like I'll roll dice on 1 out of 5.
Yeah.
Like, if 20% that stay consistent actually do see some steady stream of success, or they get like they reach their audience,
Yeah.
then by all means, you know what I mean? I feel
By all
good doing
means.
I feel good doing the right thing. Yeah,
Yeah.
for the most part.
I don't know though, because it's like I said,
What?
some people just make podcasts like literally just to hear the sound of their own voice.
Isn't that why you're doing it? Don't you want that?
Just a little bit. That's part of the reason.
No, I think it's solid though. You know what I mean? At the end of the day, is it making or breaking us? Do you think that this is going to be something that we grow from, or we're going to be the nail in the coffin?
Here's going to be my answer. I think we want it to make us, but in reality, it's going to break us.
So you're saying...
Ooh, that was a bar.
You did not. You did not.
That was good.
No. So you're...
No? Okay.
I wish I could have no reaction to that.
Why? That was funny.
That was...
I'm so silly.
I'm sucking in embarrassment. But...
Damn.
So it's breaking us. You think that we want it to we want it to work, but it's breaking us.
Look at how much negative shit comes out of social media. Like, seriously.
Spread hate.
Spread hate, like spread a false information. Like, those are two things that, you're taught in the world. You're taught as you're grown up not to fucking do. You're taught not to lie and spread rumors and stuff that isn't true. And you're also taught not to be mean to one another. And the internet is literally the only place where you're really not held accountable for any of that.
You're just leaning more and more to like my side where I just
But I'm not trying to lean towards your side because I also love social media and I will literally never get rid of it. I love the fact that like I can sit there and post my silly little videos or like post a bunch of pictures on my Instagram account because it's fun for me. I use social media as a way to document my life for me personally, not to broadcast it to the world and try and get a revenue off of it.
Well, it sounds to me like you want your cake and eat it too. Like you want to.
But that I said that to you in the beginning of this conversation. I literally said, this is the issue with this is that I think that my generation is very much aware how the negative impact that social media has on all of us, but we're never gonna get rid of it.
Well, I want some resolve. I want a solution to this. I want to figure out how do you actually.
Well, here's the solution. Social media is never going away.
That is not the answer that anyone wants to hear. So just deal with it.
What are we doing right now? This is a form of social media. It is though, and you have to agree with me on that standpoint.
You're not wrong. But
you're gonna sit here and try and genuinely tell me that you believe that there could be a point where social media no longer exists.
No, not at all.
Yeah.
Not at all. But I'm not saying that I don't want it to exist. Just kind of would like to.
You're just saying that you would like it to go back to like when it wasn't just a congested news source.
Yes. When there had to be some kind of requisite or some sort of team or production behind you.
But when you think about it, was there ever really a time where social media wasn't like that?
Yeah. I think when you were speaking of Vine and you were speaking of when people were just actually making the clips to have, you know what I mean, for fun, and they were doing the impromptu moments and catching these like little
but then Vine got banned because the government did not want us to have fun. And they're about to do it again. They're about to do it again with TikTok.
I'm not even mad about it. I never had TikTok. It makes no difference to me that TikTok doesn't exist anymore.
Okay, but do you watch Instagram Reels? Yes. Those are literally just TikTok videos from 2 weeks ago.
So it sounds like I'll get my TikTok Reels 2 weeks later. Boo-hoo. You know what I mean?
But that's not, I don't know.
Yeah.
But maybe some of that's false information that you're watching right there.
Well, look, see, don't get me all wound up because we could go off on this all day long. I'm just grateful that we're able to have the discussion, and get to the, kind of like the source of it all. But I still don't think that we have a solution as to what's going on with social media. I still don't think that, there's a resolve to this whole podcast. Like, what is the end all be all for this? If there's so many new shows, if you have hundreds of thousands of people putting out content every day, at what point, you know what I mean? At what point does it just become a saturated market and we get lost? You know what I mean? And you get lost.
But I also think, this is where I'll disagree with you. I think that the reason that certain podcasts and certain, influencers and people do well is because they bring something that other people like.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
But do you want to just cater to people who just agree with you all the time, or do you want to actually? No, that's like.
Do you want to get me riled up? That Are you for real right now?
No,
Brandon, are you for real?
I'm just,
And let's be here. Like this conversation right here, I did not expect to go the way that it did also. But when I saw that the first statistic was that 47% of 18 to 34-year-olds, which that's our margin right there together, you admitted to using social media as their primary news source. You're included in that stat too, homeboy. So like, you know what I mean? We're a lot more similar on this front than I think that you and I both assumed when we first.
No, I'm looking at it solely as you like social media. You're just accepting the negativity about it. You're going to continue to traverse the toxic realms of this.
You're making
this
it sound
platform.
like I am like the wicked witch of the West because I
kind of,
like
when
social media.
When you acknowledge that something's wrong and you can, and you continue to.
Everybody knows it's wrong. Everybody knows that there's something wrong with social media.
Well, you're just taking a group mindset, but I would like to.
I'm taking a group mindset, whatever.
I would like to state that. Yeah, I wouldn't be opposed to there being some sorts of regulations on it. Honestly, it would make me feel a little bit more confident and comfortable about the individuals that I deal with
because you're
every
uncomfortable.
day. It concerns me that, honestly, to me, it concerns me that a majority of people, that's how they get their information nowadays. 'Cause
Yeah.
I don't know if when I'm talking to somebody and they're citing or sourcing something, if they are just regurgitating a reel that they saw in their life, you know what I mean? Or like, what's legitimate anymore?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, what is
Yeah.
an authentic feeling, if that's even one that they're having? They could just very well just be looking at me like a drone,
Yeah.
just repeating their screen time.
Yeah.
And that does concern me a little bit. You know what I mean? When I think about it, when I think about this show and, podcasts in general and how, looking into this stuff, like, it doesn't really seem like that's really something that I would want to, to be around like that. So I think, everyone cite and source your material, do what you're, taught to do when you're young.
Don't get your news from Snapchat. Definitely don't.
I definitely don't get it from TikTok, maybe an article or two, maybe read a paragraph, hold on to some kind of note, even write, maybe even take a note. No, I'm just
Taking notes.
Take some notes, like that'd be great.
Jot your thoughts down. Just,
No, I like that though. We should definitely close it off on that though. Thank you guys.
Yeah,
everyone,
thank you so much for tuning in
today. Check us out. 2 Scoops.
Two Scoops.
Next time.
Cut.